Welcome to Island Writers Network OpenMic, which is normally the third Wednesday of this month, because the fourth Wednesday, we're going to be into Thanksgiving, so I thought this would be a better night for people to come. So thank you for joining us. We are going to have several open readers who will come up, members of the Island Writers Network, who will read a little bit of their pieces, and then we'll have musical interlude with Peter McGlade, and then we'll have their EDDY, HOYLE, who will be our special guest feature for us now. Let's start out. Does anybody have any announcements, any writers about anything going on? I don't want to just like toss into it. Anybody have anything exciting that happened? Like an editor saying, I don't like it, so that's good news? Or an editor wanting to publish your work? No. Okay, all right. Well, our first reader tonight is Phil Lindsey. He has got, I believe it's a new piece that's called Girls with One Name, and he is also digging in his phone for another thing to read.
The internet's not working. So I think
So welcome, Phil Lindsey.
Test. Okay. Good. Can everybody hear that? How about Lu Ann? Can you hear me?
A little bit more.
A little bit more? Okay. This is called Girls with One Name. It's not that new. It's probably, but I don't think I've ever read it before either. So, most of my poems rhyme. Everybody laughs because most of them rhyme, but this one kind of half rhymes. Girls with One Name. On the 7th day of May, he dreamed he was a poet, with waist-length, curly brown hair down to there, and an itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny, yellow polka dot bandana. Women in the audience passed him notes with hearts and proclaimed they loved his lyrics and the rhythm of his writing. Suddenly, bang! Startled, he looked up to see a lady in a red cowboy hat and matching leather boots. She told him that there are rules, and if he is not a good writer, he must follow the rules. But if he is a good writer, the rules are meant to be broken. Rhyming poems are dead, she continued, like religion. Prose is where it's at, man, and haiku. Gesundheit, the poem said, smiling. That's such an old joke, said the lady in red, shaking her head. It's time for bed, so I'm going home. She clicked the heels of her red boots 3 times and disappeared. The poet noticed that everyone was laughing except for an old man in the corner who resembled William Shakespeare. Why so glum, chum? The poet asked. Shakespeare replied that his wife wanted him to rewrite one of his plays and let Juliet live. That's some rough stuff, mused the poet. He went on. Will, can I call you Bill? Why don't you give your wife a thrill? Take a pill, sharpen your quill. If you don't get to it, someone else will. Hey, who's gonna play the chick in this flick? They tossed around some names and landed on Zendaya because they both liked women with one name. Plus she was mega hot in the Spider-Man movie. Without warning, Bill rolled his eyes upward toward the ceiling like Fernando Valenzuela did before he threw a screwball. Stringy spiderweb stuff shot out of his fingers, and with that he flew up and out the window and was gone. Probably forever. Parting is such sweet sorrow, the bard claimed as he jumped out of sight. But I'll be back, because there are always sequels, and other girls with one name. Adele, Ashanti, Beyonce, Charo, Cleopatra, Emily, Fergie, Lulu, Madonna, Pink, Rapunzel, Rihanna, Shakira, Twiggy, and Juliet, and Cher, and the beat goes on.
That was really nice, Phil. I love the element of surprise with the bandana, and I was going to tell you, share. I was just going, share. I love the way you ended that. And the beat goes on. All right, our next person is Diana Valeri. She is going to be reading some poetry about a grumpy cat named Curmudgeon. A grumpy cat at a Christmas catastrophe and his adoring family. So welcome, Diana Valeri.
This is from a children's book collection called Big Words for Little Nerds. And each book is a fun word. You know, words that you hear and you go, that's not really a word. Things like discombobulated or flabbergasted. The word itself is funny. And the books are designed so children, if they're read a book, would understand the meaning of the word. So it's never defined. You just have to follow the story and figure it out. Tabby Cat naps on the couch. He likes to frown. He's such a grouch. His sour puss is never budging. Meet Krabby Tabby, our house curmudgeon. Meow. You can coo and pet my fur. I'm so grumpy, I won't purr. When I'm tired of your affection, I hiss and scratch without discretion. On silent paws I hunt and roam. I pussyfoot throughout your home. Meow. I proudly sashay down the halls, knocking pictures off your walls. Our Christmas tree stands catty corner. Sparkling ornaments adore her. Silently, it rests alone, spreading joy when no one's home. Through the blind, some sunshine leaks onto the couch where Tabby sleeps. Jumping light and bouncing beams wake Krabby Tabby from his dreams. He stalks the sunbeam in the tree, planning a cat-astrophe. Tabby starts his tree ambush. One big leap, one small push. Krabby Tabby pulls caper, catapulting wrapping paper. He mangles tissues, then upchucks. Being me, meow, is just for schmucks. We spot the clutter from our front door. We hear our Tabby's nasal snore. Krabby Tabby had some fun. We are shocked at what he's done. Yuletide trimmings fully bludgeoned by Krabby Tabby, our house curmudgeon. We scold him loudly, screaming scorn. Christmas decor ripped and torn. Snoozing Tabby turns and wakes. He's no regrets for his mistakes. He's a curmudgeon, sassy and fat. But we still adore our Tabby Cat.
Those precious. Oh, no, is that, you had it published? Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
What's it do?
we couldn't see the art.
Oh, okay.
Is
Oh,
that
it was
okay?
like shining.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
all we
fine.
could see was light.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh, that's much better.
Oh, much better.
Oh, yeah, that's so much better.
Well, you know what's in here.
I know.
Okay. All right, thank you, Diana. A lot of big words in there. A lot of big words. Our next person, Derek Dickson, is going to bring his book. Is going to bring some prose and I think a few poems in the book too, right?
It's prose.
Prose, all prose. Okay, it's all prose. Barry Dickson.
Oh. Well, good evening. Can you hear me? Yeah. So about 10 days ago, I woke up in the morning, it was 31 degrees. And I said, gee, maybe I'll start reading some of the winter stuff at OpenMic. So I chose a piece, and this brain that was born and raised in the mountains of Pennsylvania did not realize or think that in 10 days it's going to be 85. And this is going to make no sense. But I took it out this morning and I said, you know what, I like to read this story, so I'm going to read it anyway. This is from a manuscript called Barry Who? 34 Unforgettable Micro Memoirs from Someone You Never Heard of.
Thank you.
And it's just a collection of little incidents from life, unrelated to each other, 2, 3, maybe 4 pages tops. The day such and such happened, the day they did this to me, the day I did that to them, etc. And this is from, they all come with a date. This is from January 9th, 1983. And it's called Moby Dickson. There was plenty of warning that a huge snowstorm headed toward New York City. Being the sensible guy I am, I stocked up on groceries, right? Wrong. Cupboards in this Manhattan bachelor pad were indeed bare. But so what? Tomorrow I will yet again arise and walk to Tom's restaurant of Seinfeld fame for a hearty breakfast. I finished my popcorn, the last available foodstuff, and turned in. As I lay there, I swore I could actually hear snowflakes landing. This is going to be a doozy, I thought. Little did I know. The next morning I awoke. First thought, pancakes. I donned jeans, sweatshirt, coat, insulated socks, boots, gloves, scarf, earmuffs, and walked down 3 flights to the lobby. Holy shit. The snow was halfway up the door. If I opened it, it would collapse in on me. Besides, what's the point of opening a door you can't get out of? Drifts were 4 feet, at least. But fear not. It just so happened this was the week of apartment sitting for Kurt, my across-the-hall neighbor visiting his mom in Mississippi. I never really understood the duties of apartment sitter. How many times can you go across and make sure all the faucets are off? But I had a key, and surely Kurt wouldn't want his Yankee neighbor to starve. I climbed back up and headed for his fridge. Yikes. Bachelor number 2. Not a single item that would qualify as edible. I pondered the bachelor's credo. Grab something, and if it doesn't grab you back, eat it. But yuck, I proceeded to the cupboards. I opened the first, empty. The second, just as empty. Third, fourth, fifth, all the way through 10th. All completely, totally, and absolutely empty. Uh-oh, I thought. This is getting serious. I have nothing, he has nothing, and there was no way I was getting out of this building. I plopped into a kitchen chair. As I sat slightly panicking, I noticed a little half cupboard above the refrigerator. I climbed the chair, stretched to reach the cupboard, and there it was. A large, make that extra large, tuna fish type can. I almost didn't believe what I was looking at. Could this thing be for real? But in big blue letters, there she blows, Beluga whale meat. I perused the label. Caught off the coast of Cape Cod. Very nutritious. Great source of energy. I'll bet Kurt is saving this, I thought. But I was hungry. It probably has some sentimental value. But I was so hungry. It wouldn't surprise me if 6'2" Kurt put it way up there to keep it from 5'8" Barry. But I was so hungry. Finally, a decision. I located a can opener. The instant I punctured the lid, I could see it was indeed an oily item. I removed the lid, and behold, a whole can of beautiful whale meat. Looked like chicken. I touched it and licked my finger. Better than chicken. I grabbed a fork and devoured the entire can. When the meat and what I guess was blubber were gone, I ran my finger around every edge and rim, licking the last delicious, nutritious drop. That's when I saw it, right under the word Beluga. How could I have missed this? Do not eat after date stamped on lid. The lid, where's the lid? I rummaged the kitchen can. There it sat, embossed and unmistakable. October 1957. My first instinct was to clutch my stomach. I sniffed the can. It smelled fine to me, but what the hell is Beluga meat supposed to smell like? I thought of calling 911, but in an emergency, whoops. An emergency vehicle had less chance of getting through than I had of getting out. Besides, you called 911 in the middle of a snowstorm where people are stranded, elderly or having heart attacks, and say, "Come right away, please. I just had some expired whale meat." No, I thought, this is it. I am going to die. I slowly lowered into Kurt's living room chair and awaited fate. I was struck by how calm I was and the strange things that enter your head at such a time. Like how this would make a great poem. The alliteration beluga and botulism having real potential. I even smiled. Then, perhaps for the last time, I closed my eyes. The next thing I knew, I was waking up. It was at least 4 hours later and I felt great. Not so much as a cramp, not even a burp. Outside I could hear plows in the distance. I looked through the window and down the block, a few of NYPD's finest drudging about. Like me, New York City was still alive. Epilogue. A few days afterward, Kurt and his squeaky suitcase returned. Sure enough, about an hour later, a knock on my door. "Hey," he said in his Mississippi accent, "did you eat my whale meat?" Was it a blue can? "Oh man, that was from like the 70s, maybe even the 60s. "Nope, wasn't me," I said. "Mine was from the 50s.
Okay, our last reader before music will be the best name for a writer, Lu Ann Winkle. Isn't that a great name? Lu Ann Winkle is going to be reading, her work is found along the poetry trail and online journals, and in IWN's Ripple, that copy that came out several years ago. Tonight she'll be reading two pieces from a new genre that has captured attention, or a genre that has captured her attention. I don't know if it's new, but it's called microfiction. And I did look it up because that intrigues me too. It's like 300 words of fiction. Way. So this will quite a challenge. So welcome, Lu Ann Winkle.
Oh, thank you very much. I've been figuring out that I'm kind of verbose. So I spent the last couple days trying to get a piece from 880 words down to 500. And keep everything in there that needed to be in there. And through that process, I'm like, okay, I really need to work on verbosity. I've got to use less words. So I've decided to try this whole idea of microfiction. And so a couple of these are there's two of them. They're a little bit dark, which is not like me. Whoops. But they also have a little sense of humor in it. So here we go. The first one is called Compost. From lush to wizened, sporting wrinkles, old age spots, dimming eyes, and stiffer joints, she gradually ripened into the juiciest of fruits. She closed the distance between blooming youth and hardy maturity with sleepless nights and frantic days. She worked, she worried, she pursued reckless adventures and navigated complex emotions. Then, devoured by life, she became compost to nurture the next blossom. That's very short. And this one, I should probably say right up front, I don't have a stepsister, so you'll have to figure out why in this little story.
A little louder, please.
Oh, okay, sorry. Is that better? Okay. I don't have a stepsister. And the title of this one, the little micro story, is called Well-Wishers. Well-wishers smile and exclaim, "Happy anniversary," as the couple guides the gilded knife through the cake with their gnarled hands. We surround them in a circle, shoulder to shoulder, with our broad smiles and misty eyes, each of us contemplating their joyous moment. Then I lean in close to my stepsister and whisper, "I still despise you and your mother for ruining my life." I said it's a new genre, I'm trying.
Yes, now you can say that much words. Thanksgiving. Bill just figured out his phone, and he has got another one to read. So welcome Phil back to the
This is real short. You thought you were done with me, right? Anyway, this is kind of a love poem. Think about that. It's called Awkward. I fell in love with an awkward glance, averted eyes, a slow first dance. Well beyond my comfort zone, my innocence surely must have shown. Her hands told me she didn't care, held my waist, stroked my hair, guided me around the floor, through the crowd, out the door. In the back seat of my car, I said, "I've never gone this far." "Don't worry," she sighed, "it's not that hard. I take cash or MasterCard."
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, all the readers. There were several readers who had to end at the last moment. They were sick or taking care of people who were sick. So what we're going to do now is have a little break. And Peter, is it Peter or Pete? Pete, okay, Pete McGlade will be our musician. He's going to sing around 3 songs. Pete, have you never met him? Is from Ireland, was born in Ireland. He only lived there for 11 months though. And then moved to New York, where he spent about 40 years. Where he spent 40 years in the airline industry. The last 5 years, he's been a member of the Garage Band, which is a group of musicians who jam in Hilton Head Plantation. He is also part of the, which is the one by the Indigo Run, Indigo Prop, the Jammers. Hilton Head Jammers, and there's another one, oh, that was Kirby Sullivan, okay. Hilton Head Jammers, and so let's welcome Pete. He's going to entertain.
Thank you for the nice introduction. You're gonna have a short one then. You ready? The first song is called First of May. It's by the Bee Gees, and if you recall, May 1970, if you were in New York, it made the top 20. Didn't go much further than that, but, you know. I think, oh, you were? Okay.
Was it Yellow Album? Was it the Yellow Album?
Yeah. When I was small and Christmas trees were tall, we used to laugh while others used to play. Don't ask me why, but time has passed us by. Someone else moved in from far away. Now you're tall, Christmas trees are small, and you don't ask the time of day. But you and I will never die. But guess who cried for the first of May? Apple trees that grew for you and me. I watched the apples falling one by one, and I recall the moment of them all, the day I kissed your cheek and you were mine. Now we're tall and Christmas trees are small, and you don't ask the time of day. You and I will never die. But guess who cried first of May? When I was small and Christmas trees were tall, we used to laugh while others used to play. Don't ask me why, but time has passed us by. Someone else moved in from far away. The next song is one that our generation, you may remember, was a little bit before mine, Groovy Tuesday, which was 1965 with the Rolling Stones. And if you want to sing along the chorus or whatever part, please feel free. Don't ask twice. She would never say where she came from. Yesterday don't matter if it's gone. While the sun is bright, or in the darkest night, no one knows. She comes and goes. Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. Who could have name on you when you change with every new day? Still gonna miss you. Don't question why she She'll tell you it's the only way to be. She just can't be chained to a life where nothing's gained and nothing's lost at such a cost. Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. Who could hang a name on you when you change with every new day? Still gonna miss you. There's no time to lose, heard her say. Cash your dreams before they slip away. Dying all the time. Lose your dreams and you lose your mind. Ain't life unkind? Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. Who could hang a name on you when you change with every new day? Still I'm gonna miss you. Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. Who could hang a name on you when you change with every new day? Still I'm gonna miss you. Thank you. This next song may be another song that you all remember. It was Norwegian Wood from the Beatles and Rolling Stones, which I think was around 65 too. I didn't get around to it until 67 because I wasn't aware of things very early. I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me. She showed me her room, isn't it good, Norwegian Wood. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. I sat on the rug, biding my time, drinking the wine. We talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed. You don't work I started to laugh. I told her I didn't intend to sleep in the bath. She told me she worked in the morning and started to laugh. I told her I didn't and told her to sleep in the bath. And when I awoke, I was alone, this bird had flown. So I lit her fire, isn't it good, Norwegian Wood.
Thank you, that was Peter and Denny. I did not know that Denny was going to be playing the guitar. Let's give them another hand. All right, just a little trivia. That first song by the Bee Gees, you remember what album that was on? Do you remember the name of the album? I don't remember the name. I do know the color. It was a yellow album. The next one was Ruby Tuesday. That was the octagonal album.
Yeah.
The octagonal album. That was, maybe 1968, 69 is when I was introduced into it. And the last one, Norwegian Wood, was in, who knows? Revolver. I think. Was it Revolver? Oh, you may know that better. It's one of those. Rubber Soul, that's it. I needed that had Laura in it. Okay. Thank you so much for singing and sharing, and that was Denny on the guitar. Okay, now we're getting to the special guest. Our special guest tonight, there you are, okay, is EDDY HOYLE. She's our featured reader, author of Broken Women, with a diverse professional background, including journalism, public relations, and nonprofit leadership. She has a passion for storytelling. Spent 14 years at the helm of Memory Matters and has a keen understanding of the human experience. Currently, she's a freelance writer and copy editor for local publications like the Bluffton Hilton Head Sun, Pink Magazine, and Lydia Inglett Publishing. Do you want me to read this part about broken women, or are you going to do that? About broken women, you have a little blurb about broken women, or do you want to say that? Okay, all right. Didn't want to reveal. So let's welcome EDDY. She's got this great book, Broken Women, that she's going to talk about tonight. So let's welcome her.
Gotta change the glasses, you know.
I'll move this.
Okay. Put it in front of your mouth.
I just published this book, and I am
Beautiful. All right.
but now the cover's changed. The book is going to be released as an audio book, and their marketing team just has changed everything. So it's actually a better cover, but these are still available. They're first editions, signed. Tonight, $25, hardcover, first edition. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so Broken Women is a saga of broken yet resilient women. The novel was inspired by my grandmother, whose survival story always fascinated me. She was an immigrant from Lithuania at the turn of the century and arrived in America when she was 16. Broken Women propels readers from Eastern Europe during the Russian Revolution across the sea to America. It's an emotional saga of two generations of women that reveals mysteries, unveils flaws, and slowly unravels secrets to examine the complex relationship between a broken mother and her daughter. In 1865, life in Lithuania was especially grim. Poverty, oppression from Russian forces, and famine drove peasants to desperation. Ona's mother died in childbirth, and her father abandoned her and walked away. As a woman, she was raped and killed her attacker, but she never shared her shameful secret, not even with her husband, Petrus. She would never know with certainty whether her husband or the rapist had fathered her own baby girl. Ona's fears and secrets rotted her spirit and drove her to the brink of madness, denying her the ability to love her daughter. This trauma not only broke her, it transformed her from the abused to the abuser. Ona's poisoned love caused needless suffering for her daughter Marita. Throughout Marita's life, her only wish and her greatest weakness was her mother's love. At 16 years of age, she's sent to America to be reunited with her brother Stannis, who emigrated to avoid being consigned into the Tsar's army. Life in America was not idyllic, but Marita found true love and built a life with her husband Victor. She suffers her own tragedies, but with determined and resilience, she finds the courage to live life on her own terms. Broken Women is also a love story for both Ona and Marita. Their husbands love them unconditionally and cherish them, despite their flaws. This book is a powerful exploration of the human condition and the transformative possibilities of forgiveness. The narrative is rich with historical detail and unforgettable characters. It paints a vivid picture of the era and the struggles faced by those who lived through it. Broken Women will leave an indelible mark. It's a story that lingers in the heart and soul, a reminder that even in life's harshest trials, there is always the possibility of redemption. So that gives you a little bit of background, but the setting goes from 1865 in Lithuania through 1918 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Marita ends up there to join up with her brother Stannis, who is a coal miner, and her husband, she meets a wonderful man, and he's also a coal miner. So it's actually two separate stories that kind of interweave. And the relationship between mother and daughter, that even in the best of times can be a little difficult or downright contentious. And we all know that as women. But the story always has a tribe of women that support these two troubled women. Friends, next door neighbor, a sister-in-law. They always support one another as friendship and encouragement and help through the difficult times gets them both through. So with that background, I'd just like to read part of a chapter because it kind of gives you a feel for the dynamics of the family. So we have Ona and her husband Petrus, and then we have Stannis, who is their 10-year-old son at this particular point, and 5-year-old daughter Marita. Okay? I won't bore you too long, I know. Ona's calloused hands pulled beets from the garden to make borscht. Her threadbare shirtwaist dress was topped with a hand-sewn apron, and a babushka shrouded her brown hair. At 29 years of age, Ona knelt on the ground with a stooped back. It ached like an old woman's. Her daily routines never varied. She accepted her destiny and worked like a pack mule to put food on the table. As 5-year-old Marita watched her mother on her knees, pulling weeds from the vegetable garden, she reached in her pocket and took out one of her few toys, a small wooden top, worn and faded with shadows of the original red and blue stripes, struggling to retain brilliance. She sat on the stoop, twisted the top and released it to spin. Absorbed in the whirling gizmo, she didn't spot her mother storming toward her. Ona grabbed her daughter's hair, yanking her to her feet. A violent backhand tossed Marita to the ground. You sit and play while I kneel in the dirt working? Thankless child. You're worthless. Go. Take the basket and get the eggs from the chicken coop. Something snapped and broke inside Ona, like one of the many threads twisted to form a rope. She thought, more will snap, I fear. Marita picked herself up. Salty tears welled in her eyes and dripped onto her swollen lip. She lowered her gaze. No eye contact with Mama. Her bruised mouth swelled and she stared at her feet as she tottered away. Inside the coop, the child collapsed. The dirt floor was covered with feathers, stuck in chicken shit, mixed with moldy feed. She sobbed. Curious chickens approached Marita and some plucked at her shoes in a tender way. So she reached out to stroke their shiny feathers. At least you like me, she said to the chickens. As her sobs subsided, she regarded the filth in which she sat. She let out a moan too heavy for such a young child. I better clean up this coop before Mama figures out how dirty it is. Marita first gathered the eggs as instructed, carried them to the doorway of the house, and set the basket on the stoop where she spotted her toy. She glanced around, snatched the top, and hid it in her pocket. She ran to the tool shed to get a rake. The long handle was too tall for her and too thick for her small hands. But it didn't matter. She brought it into the dark chicken coop and raked up chicken droppings until blisters formed and popped. Her tender hands would soon become calloused and cracked anyway, just like Mama's. At dusk, Papa returned from the fields with Stannis. Weary from work and the long march home, Papa smiled when Marita bolted to him. Noticing the bruise on her lip, he lifted her, kissed her cheek, and whispered in her tiny ear, "Did you have a hard day, my sweet?" Stannis asked, "Papa, do you ever wonder why Marita has always had these bruises?" "Oh, she's a clumsy little girl, aren't you, Marita? See what I have for you?" He reached into his jacket pocket and surprised both children with 2 apples that he'd plucked from a tree at the village commune where he worked. His earnings were meager, so he felt entitled to a piece of fruit or a turnip or an ear of corn. As his children bit into the juicy apples, he walked on, mumbling under his breath, "I cannot believe that Ona would hurt her own children. Is she touched in the head or possessed by a demon?" Stannis was old enough to help the family income improve a little, but soon the harvest would end and work would be scarce. During the winter months, Petrus chopped wood to sell and hunted to feed his family. Ona hand-stitched fur pelts into hats, stoles, and blankets. On Sundays, she took her wares to Kaunas to sell to the churchgoers in town square. At first, she waited for passers-by to come to her to examine her quality fur goods. Sales were sparse, earnings were a pittance, and she became disenchanted. She complained to Petrus that it was a waste of time. He rubbed his chin and fixed his gaze on the fireplace. Ona drummed her fingers on the armrest of the chair, waiting. "Well, Ona, how can you draw people to your spot?" "I'm stumped, Petrus. I reach out, showing my hats and stoles to tempt people as they walk by, but they keep going. My handiwork should speak for itself." Perhaps you could study the more successful vendors. Watch how they do it. Ona nodded in agreement. You're right, but most of them are so rude and pushy. Well, maybe you're too timid. Ona, I have another idea. Take Marita with you. A charming little 5-year-old girl is hard to resist. If her job is to smile, take someone's hand, and lead them to you, wouldn't that help? She pursed her lips, tilted her head, eyes staring, imagining how it might work. Yes, I think I'll try that. Marita accompanied her mother to the town square, and Ona marked her territory. She squeezed Marita's arm, bent over her, and gave her instructions. Don't come back to this spot unless you bring someone with you. And remember to smile. Don't wander off. We are both working, understand? The small girl nodded, glanced around, and set off. She charmed a young couple walking hand in hand and led them to Ona, who placed a white rabbit fur hat on the woman's head. Marita clapped her hands, tugged on the man's sleeve, and squealed, how beautiful she is. Ona made her first sale, and Marita was rewarded with a smile and an embrace. Ona eventually learned to hawk her goods with persistence, forcing fur hats on heads, wrapping stoles around shoulders, and nagging until she succeeded. She developed a tenacious and unyielding technique. She thought, this is much better than canning and pickling vegetables or grating horseradish. Marita tried to be helpful, but Ona's mercurial nature was a wild tornado, quick to arrive, quick to leave. She rebuffed Marita, ignored her, and regret always followed, but affection was rare. She thought to herself, what is wrong with me? I'm ashamed, and I'm so tired of chastising myself. But Marita brings out the worst in me. I've got to stop. I must at least pretend to love her. If Petrus is near, I manage to masquerade my feelings and hide my disdain. But Stannis, he's seen too much. He tries to protect his little sister. He tucks her into bed at night, tells her stories, and tickles her till she doubles over laughing. He seems to have an uncommon, protective bond with Marita. Ona seethed with jealousy. She was unaware that her clever son had contrived a rope ladder and hung it in the limbs of an immense oak tree, where Marita could climb up to a high, secret place. She would pull the rope up out of view when storm clouds gathered in Ona's eyes. Ona sometimes targeted Stannis and Petrus, but her episodes with them were less frequent. Ona would scream at them and storm away. Petrus had weathered it for years, but she never recognized that his eyes had grown somber and the lines on his face had multiplied. If anybody has any questions, yes.
Are you doing the audio?
The audio is, I picked the voice. I won't do it. I think I had like a scratchy, low voice that doesn't resonate well, but it's going to be it's going to be an audiobook soon, and I picked a female voice. They gave me like 5 or 6 choices, and some were too tiny and too small like this, and kind of whiny. And then we had another voice that was like, Ona just hated her daughter. She was just a mean person. You know, it was like, that's scary and too fast, you know? So I listened to like these 5 voices, narrowed it down to 2, and then listened and listened again, and I think I found the perfect voice. But that And that wouldn't be for me to do.
Is that an AI voice or is it going to be a real?
No, it's a real person. It's a real person. And the audiobook creators also did this amazing marketing plan as part of the deal, which my daughter gave me for my birthday. I have to give her credit because it was expensive. And they have changed the cover, as I told you, but they've also used AI to create like 1 minute little trailers that will be on the different websites and all of that they've done. And they've also done a lot of ads that pull out little pieces of the storyline. So I'm pretty excited about the audiobook if I ever get to hear it and approve it. So we'll see how that goes.
Is this based on your family history?
Yes, in a way. My grandmother, as I started to say, she did live in Lithuania until she was 16. I know absolutely zero about her life in Lithuania. Everything, every letter, every package, everything she had from that homeland, and she had been communicating with her parents, I guess, but in the early 50s, the FBI came knocking on her door. It was the McCarthy era, and they demanded to know who she was communicating with in a communist country. And it scared her. She had her citizenship, but she thought that she was going to be deported. So she burned everything, every letter, every record, every birth certificate, everything. So I have nothing to go on. But we did take my mom to Lithuania for her 80th birthday, and we toured the entire country. It's beautiful. I fell in love with it. And her background, once she arrived in America, she did meet a man, got married. At the turn of the century, World War I was going on. They settled in Pittsburgh, in the Pittsburgh area, and there's a lot going on with the coal mines and the steel mills and the coke ovens. And the Spanish flu hit, and she lost 4 children in the Spanish flu. She had 4 more, but after that, her only son was captured by the Germans and held in a prison camp for the entire war. And then when my mom was 15, her dad was walking home from the coal mines, and he was killed by a hit-and-run car. So when you think about all that layer after layer after layer of trauma, right? Really the catalyst for this book was one word, and that was epigenetics. And I didn't know what that was, so I had to look it up when a friend mentioned it, because I had no understanding what she was talking about. And apparently, any counselors in the room or anybody that's worked with trauma victims, whether it's domestic abuse or dementia, you know that there's an intergenerational transmission of trauma. But they figured all this time that it's because of the environment, because of the relationships, that you hear about these stories, you live with the effects of the trauma. But epigenetics is a new science, and I don't know if it holds any weight. I just found it interesting, that is studying whether you actually have damaged DNA that gets passed from generation to generation. And they're actually looking at it in terms of, well, you can get, diseases transmitted. What about emotional trauma that leaves lingering effects? I just found it very interesting. And when I started researching that, I had this aha moment, because I started thinking about my own family. So my grandmother, I don't know what happened to her people in Lithuania, but I know she had all these layers of trauma. Then I look at her children, my 3 aunts and my uncle, and they all had chronic depression, different maladies, I guess you would call them, unhappiness, just no joy in their lives. My one aunt, she just became like this religious fanatic, you know, constantly saying her rosaries and praying for her children. And then she lost 2 children, one to leukemia and one was in a motorcycle accident. Not that she had anything to do with that, but the trauma that she already had, just being a daughter of a crazy woman, has certainly had an impact. My other aunt, she married a man who became a blatant, horrible alcoholic who actually ended up dying in an alley. He became homeless, he lost his job, his family disowned him. My mom was pretty normal. I always wondered why she didn't want to play with us. She preferred scrubbing pots and pans in the kitchen. And it wasn't until my dad died and they put her on Prozac that she became a happy person. And it took me a long time to get to know her, because she suffered from chronic depression her whole life, and then all of a sudden she was a happy person. And I'm like, who in the hell are you? You know? I didn't know how to relate to her. And then I look at my own generation, and there were 6 kids, and I'd say probably half of us were on some kind of a happy pill. And then our kids, I have a niece who's bipolar. I have another relative that is, I can't remember what it's called, a sociopathic, blah, blah, something. But anyway, you know, all these mental health issues, they can be caused by genocide, war, trauma, rape, victimization of any kind. But I just found it interesting to think about that epigenetics, you know. So anyway, that was kind of the catalyst for actually sitting down and starting to write. But any other questions?
Have you heard about epigenetics before?
Yes. Yes, a friend of mine, we were just talking about somebody that had, you know, she had counseled that had some serious trauma, and she mentioned the word epigenetics, and I had no idea what that was, so I just looked it up and thought, oh. Somebody over there has a question, please. Laura, did you have a question? Somebody raised their hand over there. Anybody else? Penny?
Why did they change the format of the book from the cover?
They said that, like, I love this cover.
I know, that's why I was asking.
It matches my outfit. And there's amber there because amber comes from Lithuania.
It does.
And I originally named this book Damselflies, like damsels in distress, but they're like little tiny dragonflies. And then, you know, a lot of conversation was had with my critique group and other people, and they said, we don't know what that means. We don't know what it is. The title of your book should tell people what it's about. And I'm like, oh, but I like my amber, and I like my damselflies. So I named it Broken Women. So then this big marketing company out in LA said, well, we're going to change the cover. And I said, why? And they said, because it doesn't show the reader what the book is about. And people like to pick up a cover that's beautiful, but yet poignant and literally shows you what the book is about. So a hunk of amber isn't what it's about. Although there is a piece of amber jewelry like this one that I got in Lithuania that ties some of the female characters together throughout the generations. So the new cover, it's 2 women with their backs to you, and one is an older woman and one is a younger girl, and they're looking out at a grayish, cloudy sky, but that has a beam of sunlight coming through to represent hope. It really is a beautiful cover. So these will be rare and worth a lot of money. So you want one, I have some. But that was the reason. And if you look on Amazon, you'll see the new cover. Jill?
So what did you do in your career that helped you write the book? Or?
Yeah, actually, you know, I believe in God winks, and I studied journalism, and I worked as a journalist for years and years, and then God kind of made me volunteer at a nonprofit, and I loved nonprofit work, so I switched gears. I worked for about 10 years at an organization up in Massachusetts that served women and children who had suffered violence, rape, sexual assault, and learned a lot there. I started as a court advocate, helping women get restraining orders, and then holding support groups, doing one-on-one resources and connecting women with resources in the community. Then, when we moved here, I was busy sending out my